Candice Holley is the Director of Human Relations for the town of Westport. She oversees labor relations across a broad range of departments. She brings over 20 years of experience in Fortune 500 companies, national nonprofits, and startups to the job. But Candice is much more than a town employee. A former Division I basketball player at the University of Cincinnati and the University of Mississippi, she coached as a grad assistant at Seton Hall, and equally important, she continues coaching with her daughter's fourth grade PAL team. Even more, Candice is a professional voice talent, been featured in national commercial spots. So Candice, I am impressed, and welcome to 06880, the podcast.
All right. Thank you for having me, Dan. I am honored to be here. Thank you.
It's great having you. So, starting at the beginning,
Yes.
Young Candice.
Yes.
Did she want to be a basketball star, a voiceover talent, or a human resources professional?
Well, that definitely wasn't HR. That came later. But probably an athlete, I figured. I liked to play like basketball. I did basketball. I did volleyball.
And
track.
where was this?
I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm from the South, where we make our own barbecue sauce, okay? Because you can't find it out here in Connecticut. They're getting better. But sports is kind of a way of life down there, and for me, basketball just was the one that stuck out the most. And so I played it throughout most of my life, all the way up to college. Forward and center. Okay. Early on center, but then as you got more competitive, girls got taller. So I had to learn the small forward and the forward position a little bit. So, yeah, I never thought I'd be doing the other things, though.
And Cincinnati and Mississippi, why not UConn?
Well, UConn, me coming from Tennessee, was a sin.
You couldn't do
even
it.
consider.
Pat Summitt would not have allowed it.
Yeah, or if I would have, even been considered. UConn was such a powerhouse back then during that time. I did get a lot of looks from Big East schools. Ended up going with, at that time, it's called Conference USA. So the University of Cincinnati made sense. And I ultimately transferred to get a little closer to home, where I finished out at Ole Miss. Yeah.
And talk about that experience. Mm-hmm. What was it like? How does it impact what you're doing now? And
so sports in general, I think most athletes can sort of resonate with this, that it is you're in competition with yourself and your own procrastination, your own laziness, your own everything. It's the get up and go that you have to do to be able to play. So in my day-to-day as a mom, and now working as a human resources professional, where you deal with people on a regular basis, you deal with challenges, you have to have the stick-it-to-itness and the endurance to be able to do all of those things and kind of balance it out in a way where it's not overtaking you. And sports really gave me that balance. Basketball specifically gave me that balance and the ability to kind of balance things out in my professional life too, and as a mommy. I'm doing my best. There's no rule books for mommy. I'm just going to qualify that.
And as a human relations person, mm-hmm. you're creating a team, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that part of it?
Yeah, human resources it's a lot different now than it used to be. It was highly transactional before. So you talk about your benefits and you talk about compliance. But now it's more people operations and seeing how you can streamline processes, seeing where there are synergies with systems, where you can eliminate waste in a process, and also concurrently building teams, building an environment, a place you want to work, listening to employees, understanding the feedback, and trying to find ways to translate that into tangible solutions.
And did your coaching experience impact that at all?
I think so too, because I think it was a natural transition for me after having about 5 knee surgeries.
Oh, wow.
I said, it's not gonna be basketball.
ACL?
ACL, MCL, and lateral and medial meniscus.
Oh my God.
So all of it. It's just,
and you're still walking.
I'm walking for now. But it was a natural transition for me to just sort of say, you know what? I still want to lead. I still want to, encourage and inspire. HR seemed like the right career to sort of do that with, because you are doing that. You're helping folks work through their problems. You're looking for solutions. So yeah, I guess basketball was a natural transition for that type of career for me.
So how'd you get into the field?
So after graduating at Seton Hall, I started working at a
What was
company.
the degree?
Organizational development.
Of
So,
course.
yeah, org development, org effectiveness. I found a job at, ironically, Staples, but not Staples here. Staples, the big box company. And at that time, they were doing, I would say, like very revolutionary things where people were ordering online and having same day deliveries and things like that. So I got into that industry, which is a really fast paced one, as an HR generalist. And I started from there, ended up getting promoted to manager, and ended up getting into different consulting roles from that. And in the consulting role, one of the things that I learned about consulting is that you are, the choices that you make professionally are helping a company or helping an organization make really impactful choices too. So it's a very instrumental role. And I think what I learned from working as a consultant is that I like to lead. I developed more into like a leader. And because you can't really put pen to paper when you're a consultant, you're really sort of hands off and they're really trusting your expertise. But when you can drive that thing, I was like, I really want to drive. So a lot of the companies were nonprofits that couldn't really afford an HR overhead. Really diving into the nonprofit world was a way for me to get into leadership and lead for them. So I moved to Connecticut for initially for love, I guess. We ended up having 3 kiddos, and I've been here for almost 22 years. So the majority of my work ended up being out here.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm really dating myself, and I shouldn't have said years on that one. But yeah, all of it's instrumental. It's all like fluid, I think, in that way. Who I am and what I like to do as an athlete just naturally transitioned over to me as a professional.
And Westport, how did you end up in this position?
So this is a really interesting story because I actually lived right outside of Westport, up 136, for many years in Fairfield. And so majority of my time in Connecticut was spent over in Greenfield Hill in Fairfield. And I would come down here, I'd go to the supermarkets and just kind of like go to the shops and things like that. So I really felt Westport was very near and dear to me. When I went, I'd say I'll go back to the pandemic era. I was working at Sandy Hook Promise as their chief people officer, and
Great organization.
it was amazing. Yep, Nicole Hockley, all of those folks are good people. Mark Barden, but I was working there, and the pandemic hit, and we had some challenges in terms of the school closings. The majority of our workforce was distributed and all over the country. And rifts occurred, changes in organizational structure occurred, and it really gave me a chance to kind of tap out and pause and get back into consulting and being there for my kiddos. I've got 3, a 7.5-year-old boy named Ashton, and Michael is almost 10. And London, my oldest, is 15 and a half, going on 30 years old. I mean, she's definitely 15 isn't what it used to be. Let's put it like that. So we went away actually abroad, if you could call it that. We went to the Caribbean and stayed there for a while as I did some consulting and voiceover work.
During the pandemic?
During the pandemic. Okay. And I came back to Connecticut in 2023 because things kind of settled down here in the States. So early 2023, I continued consulting, and then a friend of mine who was actually recruiting for roles in this area and picked up this one, said, here's something you might be interested in. And it was Westport. And I said, oh, wow. I had a warm and fuzzy feeling about that because Westport, again, is very close to me. So it was serendipitous in a way to be here. And I've been here now for about 1.5 years. The community is a very special one. I feel like it's an accepting community. Most towns in Connecticut are like this, but there's a special je ne sais quoi with, I'm probably saying that wrong, with Westport, the special sauce with that, because it does feel all-inclusive. It feels really like a nice coat. It fits well. And nice. The town of Westport is such an amazing town to work for. The folks behind the scenes that keep this thing going, that dedicate time after hours, along with like the RTM and other elected officials, are really proud about this town. You know, so I feel proud about working for here as well.
So what do you do?
So I had the human resources function for the town. I have a lean, mean team. They're great. We work with all types of departments right now. There's, I would say, 17 departments that we work for, but we also provide services to other ancillary departments like health department, library, and the registrar of voters is another one, where we are able to, provide HR services to them. So solutions, tools. I think our philosophy is that we treat each department as its own business. And that's helpful because there's subcultures happening within it. And we try to find ways to either streamline processes to allow us to have continuity across the board as a town. And other times there's opportunities to specialize a process, for some of the larger departments. So I am involved in that, the labor relations portion of it, and all of our contracts. We're going through some this year. And I partner with PD, FD on pretty regularly. Those are very different, I would say, from the rest of the departments because they have their own compliance tree and how they do things. So that's been an education for me too as well, and how to leverage the HR backbone. So for that, I've learned a lot. I feel like I'm still growing, and my team for the most part are visible. I think we've really rebranded the function of HR to not just really be a transactional department, but rather a place where people can come and find solutions, work through conflict resolutions, prepare talent acquisition strategy, onboarding, offboarding, how to make those experiences for the candidate even carousel-like and a lot easier. Engagement is a big thing. We're doing a wellness fair actually this week where we're partnering with lots of local vendors, a way to integrate with the town on Thursday. So we will, we're excited about that. We have an entire employee engagement committee. Wow. So that's some of the newer things that we've sort of brought to the function. I work very closely with the first selectwoman, and Jen Tooker, and helping to carry out initiatives around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and just trying to really brand the department to be a true service department.
What's going to happen with DEI now that it's under the gun federally? Is that going to impact Westport at all?
I don't think so. I think that DEI is. It's actually who we are. I think as just humans, we just want to give people a chance to be included, and we want to hear when folks aren't, and see how to bridge that. As a community, it's already happening here, so it's a lot easier. I'm fortunate to be in an environment where that part is very simple because it's who we are already, and so it's just carrying out and practicing the things that we do already in the first place, and also looking at ways to enhance it and hear each other, promoting, stimulating conversations. When there's misunderstandings, having conversations about it rather than, assigning intentionality to something. So I think we already sort of do that. I don't feel like it will have that type of implication for where I am now.
So without obviously getting into personal details or anything like that.
Sure.
Can you give a couple of stories about some satisfying part of the work or some challenging part where you said, wow, this is why I do what I do? Yeah.
So again, the way that this has sort of bridged my consulting background, I mean, I've worked, I'll have to qualify this too, I've worked as a global leader in certain organizations where there has to be a way to bring us all together to be saying the same thing, speaking the same lexicon, very almost robotic in a way. The unique thing about here is that because all of the departments are very different in a way, but still samey, but very different as to what they actually do, is that it feels like I'm managing a book of businesses of about 17 clients. So that to me satisfies a part of like my consulting background, as well as gives me the permission to sort of drive functions. And those things are very satisfying for me. I could say a big partnership really with Parks and Recreation. When I came here out of the gate, just looking at some of the challenges and some of the things that where we could improve with communication, the openness and willingness to do that. They were very they're very open with that, and I'm not really used to that in HR. Most folks are recalcitrant to change and don't really trust you, but to see how it's evolved and where it is today. Is a big win for the town. I think it's an amazing function of the town. My partnership with PD, with Fodi Koskinas, and just learning more about how HR could be leveraged there has been an amazing, an encouraging moment for me as well as Nick Marsan, who's the fire chief. They're very prepared and organized. I'm not used to folks being like that in HR. I'm usually coming with the tools to build up stuff, but they already have it. So it's like, okay, then you guys could utilize us like this, So that part has been keeping it really interesting. There's never really a dull moment. And the town's, a town hall, the functions within that town, we all sort of march to a certain beat. And to be able to get out and go to different some of our different locations and seeing folks out there is also very. It doesn't keep you just in one location. Everyone's sort of spread out.
Oh, so you go out into the
go out in the community, go out and see the folks on site. I try to. I try to when I'm not as busy. Highway might have a problem because I haven't been there this month, but
okay.
So. Yeah, those are things that make me very. I feel very satisfied in the role. Talk about job satisfaction. I mean, like it really brings all of those things full circle to me, being able to touch all of these different departments in that way. Another piece I would say is just being able to coaching executives through difficult situations or just strategically. Helping them understand, giving them different ways to look at it as a neutral authority, and having them apply those things differently and different techniques and all types of tools. Maybe they want to work on enhancing their performance. So, or make it even more like the camaraderie with the team. What kind of events can we do? What things can we... So just brainstorming and having those moments with folks in leadership positions, and also being able to have skip levels and being very approachable to all employees. You don't really get that in most places. So it is a really special and unique role for me in my career.
Sounds like you love what you do, and the person in charge of keeping people satisfied should be satisfied. So that's...
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's not always the case in human resources, though.
So you mentioned coaching, and you are a coach of your daughter's fourth grade Westport PAL team.
So my daughter's actually not on that team.
Oh, she's not?
No, she's the one that's the 30-year-old, Dan, remember?
Okay.
So I actually just coach PAL, the fourth graders.
Not your daughter. Yeah.
Not, but I understand the temperament of a fourth grader because I have one at home.
Okay.
So that was, as I said, I feel like I got more out of that than actually giving. It was a chance to... Jordan Shore had reached out to me, the head of the Police Athletic League, PAL, and asked would I be interested in coaching. So that was an experience, and all of the things going on in my life, I wasn't sure how I would, work that in. But you prioritize the things that matter, and I found a way to be able to prioritize that and have that be a part of my life. And practicing every Tuesday and Thursday after work, and doing games, Saturdays and Sundays. Wow. And it was an amazing group of girls. Shout out to those girls. They're all good girls, and they gave me so much, probably much more than I could give them. But it was a camaraderie that reminded me of when I first started playing, because they're very new into the sport. So being able to connect with them on that level and show them, that hey, some games are hard. Some games are not as hard, but that's kind of life. Some days are tough, and Some days are you just breeze through and everything's right. But learning who shows up is what that's about. You show up and you give your best each time. And so I really got a chance to coach them and see them grow with not just from the basketball side of it, but also just understanding how you can balance that mentality, that the athletic competitive mentality, and apply it to your life. You have hard classes, or you have a tough teacher. You may have a tough boss one day.
Yeah.
You
Someone
still
you
have to. Yeah. So those are some of the things that I enjoyed really about it, and I may do it again.
You
I'm
got
going
it.
to say, once you get, this as a coach, once you get kind of attached to it, there's no going away.
No.
There's no going away.
So these girls, they're fourth grade. Women's sports, it's really established now.
Yeah, it is.
When you were growing up, it was sort of the dawn of the women's sports era. Is when you look at the girls you coached, are they different from when you were growing up in terms of athletic aspirations and what's involved?
I think they have. I would say yes, in the sense that they have a clear view of like where this could go. The WNBA was a new concept when I was playing and in high school, and then ultimately in college. But professional sports in general was something that we didn't know very much about it. We knew that you could go abroad and play, but most folks sort of just went to the college, got their degree, and got into their profession. There's a future in the sport now, and I think you could see that. So there's a different motivation, there's a different energy with it. There are much more athletic and higher basketball IQ folks on the floor now than when I started. Because when I first started, the only reason I got into it is because my mom, she's like, you're not going to sit around the house, you're going to play some kind of sport. So she put me on a basketball team, and the only thing I could do is really block shots because I was so tall. And so I was like, okay, I can do this all day. But it changed over time, and I really wanted to get better. I wanted to be able to go left. I wanted to be able to take jump shots. I wanted to work on my ball handling because I was encouraged, and I was pretty good already. These kiddos I see nowadays are head and shoulders above where I was coming in at 10, 11 years old. They're far more ahead and advanced in the sport.
Well, they're also able to see women playing basketball on TV.
Exactly.
And go to games and really have those role models.
Yeah, they're seeing it in action.
Yeah.
So it makes life a lot easier to see that and say, this is my goal, right?
Sure.
So you're going to work hard towards it. And I would say that, too, the energy is different from then as well because it is more competitive. We're winners. We got to win. And you either win or you learn. Like that's the Mandela quote he said. So you're never really taking an L. It's like, what did I learn from this? And then how do I adjust and and I see them apply that. And before we would win. I mean, I would win, and then when we lost, it was so devastating. Yeah. And then I learned as I got older, especially in college, that there's nothing worse than losing apart from the next day at practice. That's worse. When you're running, and that's worse. So, I've seen a difference. So,
sure.
Yeah.
So talk about the voiceover work.
Sure. So that was an accidental thing. And I'm not using like my voiceover voice right now. I'm using just like my regular chest voice.
What's your voiceover voice?
Tell me to say something. Let me see. What is this, the Dan Woog podcast? You're listening to the Dan Woog podcast.
All right.
Something like that, right? So I got into that actually to prepare for a TEDx talk that I was going to do, ironically called, it was going to be called Finding Your Voice in the Workplace. Oh. So, and it was right around the time of the pandemic. It was canceled. And hopefully it'll come back up again. But it was at a university in Maryland. And in preparation for that, like working on my cadence and my timbre and all of that, I signed up for this voiceover class online just to kind of do some reads and get feedback. And it turned into more because one of the voiceover instructors for that session asked me to stay over. In other words, stick around, don't go off the camera. I want to talk to you about doing some national work. And I said, okay, what does that mean? National work. He said, well, you have a national voice. And I wasn't quite sure of what that meant, but now I know what it means. It's just being able to chameleonize yourself to a read, basically. But he helped me with a demo. His name's Roger Leopardi. I'll say his name. He's my mentor in that world, and he had been doing it for quite a while. So he helped me to prepare a demo. He helped coach me on some things, and I ended up signing with Dean Panero Talent out in Hollywood, and invested into the equipment. That's why I knew about the mics and stuff.
Okay.
To do it from my home. And because of the pandemic situation, it opened up so many VO opportunities for folks because you didn't have to go to the studio where they did it with a producer and all of those things. You could do it from home and sync in with this thing called Source Connect. So I made the investment on it and I started booking. It doesn't always happen like that, but I was very fortunate to start booking roles. And
on your own, or did you have an agent?
Yeah, my agent was Dean Panero, and they're based out there. It's called DPT Talent. I think they call that it now. And they would send auditions to me, and I knew how to edit an audio clip and send it back to them. So I would edit my audition and shoot it back over, and then I would book the gig, and I would do it all from my home. I still have the studio set up, and I do a lot of corporate work right now, not necessarily a lot of commercial work, just because the time and schedule doesn't really permit for that. But I do dabble from time to time. I just did a spot with BNY Mellon, and the Cricket Wireless, which is the tag.
Great.
Smile, you're on Cricket, that thing.
Wow.
So I enjoy it, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a cheat code. It's just because I'm just talking.
Sure.
So it's fun because you can sit in a booth by yourself and talk to yourself all day like a crazy. It's fun because you get a chance to be different characters and be different. Vibes. They give you a music track, and you can kind of feel the vibe, and then you start going with the copy, the read. So that's been really fun. That's the unexpected side hustle that came out of all of this.
That's great. Did you have a Memphis accent that you got rid of?
Did I? I'm sorry, say that again?
Have a Memphis accent that you got rid of?
Oh, I can. Oh, I camouflage it. When I come around, when I talk to folks at home, I can talk like a banjo. It comes right out. And my dad was very much an intellectual guy. So he was like, you must speak the Queen's English and you have to have a non-regional diction. You need to master that. So I did that from a kid, but it's just like you settle back into your area and your folks and your family. You start to talk like it, and
Sure.
It'll come out. It'll get a little twangy. Yeah.
Great. Just a couple of minutes more. This is great.
Yeah.
So, getting back to Westport, do you have a go-to place, a favorite place here?
I do like Hudson Malone.
Uh-huh.
One of my favorite spots, and Don. I'm going to say this wrong. Don Mimeo.
Don Memo.
Memo. Okay. I go there from time to time as well. Nomad. I like the terrain. I'm pretty much a regular there all the time. So, it's so many restaurants to choose from here.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You can just pick up and decide whatever you're feeling like having that day.
Yeah.
So those are my go-to spots.
How about where do you go to chill?
I like it over by Longshore, over that side. I like Campo Beach. It's an amazing beach. It's an amazing town. I don't really get a chance to chill in where I live now in Sandy Hook. I think I may try to explore that a bit more, but most of my life has kind of shifted a little bit this direction. So, and I'm very familiar with it, to be fair. I come to the library a lot. I do a lot of stuff. It's an amazing facility. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, I'm kind of boring in some capacity. Most of my stuff.
Not at all.
Most of my stuff is with my kids. So
As it should be.
yeah.
So last question. Since you've started working here, Any surprises? Anything you've learned about the town or the people in it?
That's a good question. Because I was familiar with it, I don't feel that there were any big surprises. I think I'm just perpetually overwhelmed with acceptance here. That's always reassuring and validating to be here, even just to walk down the road. People are just kind here. And that's not always stereotypically people think, no, it's not. It's not going to be that type of, Connecticut's full of Gold Coast towns, and there's no community like that. And it's not that way. It's completely different. And I'm like I said, perpetually amazed by that every day. Oh. So I know we ran into each other at an event.
Yeah, we were right here in the library.
That's right. So, and here we are.
Here we are. Candice Holley, thank you very much for opening up your three worlds, your human resources world, your basketball world, your voiceover world, and you can find you at Town Hall, right?
Yep, you can find me at Town Hall and the personnel department.
Do people wander in?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wander in, say hello to Candice. And
please do.
Thanks for wandering over to the library today and being our guest on 06880, the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You got it.
All right.